So in this video I want to talk about the future of V8s. Is the car that I'm driving sort of like a relic of the past? Is it something that is going to continue on, or is this basically the last generation of V8s? We recently saw the announcement of the new Corvette, I think the ZR1, that had like 1,024 horsepower, twin turbo V8. They are making improvements to the technology constantly, but in a world where, you know, stricter government regulations are coming in and trying to basically, you know, hamstring what the car manufacturers can produce, you know, with all these like super strict regulations. Are we entering a period where, you know, cars like this one are basically relics of the past? And that's sort of what I want to talk about. The joys of driving a manual transmission V8. I mean, that's something that is currently, the Mustang is the only car that you can buy that has a manual transmission with a V8, I believe. I mean, if I'm not mistaken. And that's why I bought this car. I mean, back in the mid-2000s, Ferrari was still making, like, you know, some V8s with manual transmissions. I believe the F430 was the last car you could buy from Ferrari with a stick shift and a manual transmission with a V8. And I think the 599 was another one that you could buy with a V8, but I think that had a V12, which shared the same V12. It was the same V12 that was used in the Enzo, which is pretty awesome. I mean, that's a great engine. Chevy stopped making the Camaro, and I haven't heard of any like announcement of them producing another one. It's very possible they may come up with another one. I mean, look what Dodge did, or with the Charger. They basically made it's like basically full electric, and I believe they're making an ICE version, but it's just gonna have, I think it's a turbo V6. It's not gonna have a V8 anymore. That's the only thing I know. So again, the Mustang is the last V8 with a manual transmission that you can buy, which is, you know, sad, and I feel very fortunate to own one, that I get to experience it before they finally go away, because I kind of felt that the clock was ticking on these things, and that's something that I think a lot of people have to come to grips with it. That, you know, this is ending. This period is ending. The world's going to be taken over by electric vehicles eventually. There's been a lot of depreciation with those cars. You know, you buy, you know, very infamously, you buy one of them and they depreciate like crazy. You know, I guess it probably has a lot to do with, you know, the charging infrastructure, the uncertainty with the batteries, because if one of the battery packs goes bad, you know, it costs, you know, it almost totals the car. It's like $20,000 for one of these like battery packs. I know that there are services that can repair these things, and that's actually a good thing, but you know, it's still a kind of a developing market. It's not really a market that is matured. You know, the same goes with like the charging infrastructure. And let's just face it, they're just not as fun. They're almost like appliances. It's not what I would consider fun. I mean, I'm sure they're really fast in a straight line. That's for certain. They're some of the fastest cars that you can buy for the money. If you you know, like the Tesla Plaid and that kind of thing, but it doesn't give you what this has, and for half the price. You know, I'm sure, I think the Tesla Plaids are coming down in price, but I still wouldn't want to get one. I'd rather have this. I'm sure the Tesla's a pretty good car as like a daily vehicle, for like an enthusiast kind of vehicle. Finally. So yeah, you can't get that from an electric car. It's like, you know, rolling your own gears. I know that the Ioniq N, that Hyundai, I think it's a Hyundai, that Hyundai made the Ioniq N that has, you know, paddle shifters. It simulates shifting gears like in a like an automatic with paddle shifters. It's not like a manual transmission car, but it's pretty sweet. You know, obviously no clutch, that kind of thing. I guess the question is, are we losing something with all these electric cars? And you know, in Tesla, of course, they kind of like spearheaded the movement of electric cars and garnered huge adoption. I mean, where I live, that you basically see them everywhere. They're so popular. Everybody wants a Tesla, but you just don't get this. You know, the V8 has served us very well for a long time. It's been since before the flathead Ford days. I mean, they have been, you know, they have gotten us through basically the advent of the automobile. You know, since the 30s, we've been using V8s, and the fact that Chevy just put out a V8 with over 1,000 horsepower, with two turbochargers, with twin turbocharged Ford V8, is just insane. You know, the tuning that's available, the technology that these manufacturers can do is just crazy. Same goes for this car. I mean, this car is not like 1,000 horsepower, but 486, naturally aspirated, doesn't even break a sweat, with a warranty. Chevy's doing some pretty sweet things with the V8. I mean, it's not completely over. I mean, the Voodoo engine that Ford put out for the GT350 was, I mean, revered as like one of the best engines ever made, period, like bar none. With 8,250 RPM band, it was just incredible. I mean, this car can rev up to about 1,000, 7,200, 7,300, something like that. So it's a revvy engine. I mean, so Ford's been making some great V8s as well. Obviously, they've pivoted a little bit towards the electric vehicle space, like with the Mach-E, Mustang Mach-E, which I even though I hear it's a very nice car, it's sort of an abomination that they actually stuck a Mustang badge on that thing. It's just crazy. I don't know why they did that, but it is what it is. So Dodge is out right now. Chevy is like still trucking along with its Chevy with its Corvette engines, which are, you know, pretty amazing. Who else is making V8s? Mercedes is still making some V8s. Haven't made a manual V8 in a really long time, but you know, they infamously, the C63 that they just released was a four-banger with a hybrid system that weighs over 5,000 pounds. What is it with vehicle weights these days? With all these, like, I think it's sort of like put all these emissions restrictions on these cars, and then they just turn into these, you know, incredibly heavy things. I mean, this car weighs about 4,000 pounds, and for like 2025, it's incredibly light. This is like it's almost, you know, this is like the new like Miata, or like the new light car. I mean, if you have a car that's like under 4,000 pounds, you've got a very, very nimble and light car compared to like the stuff that they're putting out these days, which is all like boaty and like super. I mean, there's not much you can do about this kind of with physics. I mean, there's physics is physics, you know, tire, whatever, it doesn't matter what tires you use, you're still going to feel all that weight. So having that's why like all race cars are like gutted out and like made extremely light, because it's just better for handling. Eventually we're just going to be left with cars like the Miata, or cars like the GR86 and the BRZ, which sort of have this car's formula. You can get it in a manual, but it just lacks the V8. That's probably what we're going to be left with. And you know, not to say that those are bad cars, they're great cars. As far as I heard, I almost considered getting a GR86 before I bought this car. One of the reasons why I wanted to have a back seat, since I have kids, occasionally want to take them for a ride. The GR86 has a back seat, even though it's very small, sort of like this one, but at least it has one. So we're going to be left with cars like that. So this is the lone car that you can buy right now with a V8 and a stick, and I love it, and I'm glad I got one. And you know, time is running out on these things. Eventually, you'll just be down to the used market. You know, like the BMW E92 M3s with the 4-liter V8. You know, those are, I've always wanted to drive one of those, never had the chance, unfortunately, but I got something somewhat close, I guess. Similar formula. And I'm really happy that I did. So the V8, is it going to be around? What do you think? Leave it in the comments. Let me hear what you think. Are the days of the V8 over? Are the days, will there be another renaissance of the V8 in the future without any like hybrid bullshit or anything like that? Are we going to get anything like that? Just a pure and an unadulterated driving experience with a manual transmission and a V8. Is this it? Am I driving the last one? That's basically what I want to know. Let me know what you think in the comments. It really helps a lot if you can like and subscribe to the channel. Again, I'm trying to build it up, and you know, try to take you along with my drives and have these talking head videos where I just kind of pour out what's in my head and what I'm thinking about and what the future about cars, the car industry is, and just want to hear what you guys have to say. Anyway, we'll see you in the next one.